It's been about 3 weeks since the unrest began in the city regarding the actions of the police department. The citizens have spoken. There's been some news stories. If you haven't been keeping up with things, check out Weazel News' website, and you can catch up on that. But the people are upset, and so it's important that we take these things seriously. I did recently announce through a press release that we have a Department of Public Safety. They're responsible for looking into misconduct and taking complaints from the public in regards to our public safety services, which include the police and the LSMS for medical services. But I think a lot of people weren't aware about the existence of the DPS. We didn't do a very good job communicating that broadly. So I put out another press release recently to try to inform the people that this government body exists for this specific reason. They are the people that should have been contacted anytime somebody feels that there's been misconduct in these public service forces. They are still available. You can submit a service complaint if you have issues, and they will do an investigation independent of anyone that's a member of those forces. So they're not a part of them. It's an external investigation, which we felt was very important. This is something that the people had communicated to us previously was very important to them. They said that the police investigating the police just left room for too much internal bias, and nothing really ever came from it. We didn't like that. We didn't like hearing that, and so that's why we formed the DPS. So the first thing I want to just make it clear to everybody is the DPS is here for you, for the people, as a member of the government, to make sure that our services are performing their jobs with accordance to their standard operating procedures, and in a humane way, in a way that the people can feel proud of, the people can support. And we want there to be a good relationship between the public services and the people of the state. And that can't happen unless there's proper due process and a proper way to handle complaints and investigations. So that's the first point that I wanted to make. The second thing is I want to talk about the protest and the actual, well, I'm gonna say this term because I think it was very close to, if not crossing the line, the subsequent riot that occurred at the MRPD. If you weren't aware, or if you weren't around or involved, the very first protest that occurred was peaceful, and after investigating the conduct of the police during that specific incident, we do believe that they did not handle the response properly. There was excessive force. There was not enough attempt to negotiate or hear the will of the people, so to speak. And for that, we're sorry. We did identify through the process that it wasn't all the police department's fault. There were holes created by the Department of Public Services in the SOPs the police department uses to guide them on how they're supposed to respond to certain situations. There was an evident lack of any proper documented procedure for crowd dispersal and for handling large gatherings that could potentially turn violent. So since that was discovered, Director Mason of the DPS and the other deputy directors are working with police leadership to make sure that those policies get established and training occurs so that the police department knows how to respond to future incidents, which I hope there are none, but we do want to be prepared. The second event that I called the riot was disheartening to see. I know that the people can get frustrated and upset, but I feel like we're better than that. I did see some reports about what occurred that day, and they were spray painting public property in in front of the police department and on the police department property. They were damaging vehicles, including innocent civilians' vehicles. They were stealing box trucks and parking them as blockades in front of the garage entrance to MRPD, which was impeding the officers' ability to perform their job of protecting the citizens. You know, if one of your family members was getting mugged down the street and called 911, the police wouldn't have been able to respond because the rioters had blocked them in. That could have cost other innocent lives. So, as a word to the people, I want to remind you, don't take things too far. Think about your fellow citizens. If you're upset at the police department, that's one thing. But taking it to the point where you're impeding the police department's ability to respond to crimes around the city and state could end up hurting other people. So before you act, please stop and think about that. Think about your fellow citizens. So after the investigation concluded, there were some shocking things that were found out. I'm not going to go into detail about the investigation. I will say that the people that were involved in this process were all of the members of the Department of Public Services, which includes Director Mason on my left, further on my left now, and then Deputy Director Julia Wright on my right. Did you do that on purpose? Anyways.
No, you told me to do.
Okay, it will. And we also had Deputy Director Desiree Lovelace and Attorney General Walt Lyers. There was plenty of different perspectives involved in the investigation. There's a lot of discussion around the findings of the investigation. And during the process, there were, a director, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe we interviewed 7 different individuals, thank you, from the LSPD. So after reviewing everything, the conclusions that we came to were one thing I said earlier, that we do believe there was misconduct on the part of the police force. In response to that, as I mentioned, we'll be making sure to upgrade and include additional training and an update to the SOPs to direct the police on a more appropriate way to respond to such incidents. Due to other things that were discovered during the process, we have decided to change some of the positions that are held by individuals within the police department. Effective as of approximately 12 hours ago, we have demoted the chief and the assistant chief of the LSPD, and we have promoted a new chief into the LSPD, and that is Chief Ashley Baker. So everybody, if you wouldn't mind, just give her a round of applause. We'd like to thank her for graciously accepting the appointment, and we look forward to working with her as members of the DPS and the governor's office to ensure that the police department continues to move in a direction where they are more inclined to work with the people and have a little bit more compassion when dealing with them. There will be some other announcements made here in the future, but we still have more work to do. We are intending to appoint 2 more individuals into high command positions so that there's more people available to provide the much needed leadership to the rest of the officers in the police department. However, we have not made any decisions on that matter yet, and we are going to be working with the new chief to make sure that we are well informed about the capabilities of the police that are currently employed, so that we make good choices for you, the public, and to make sure that there's a good, stable structure within the police department. And the last thing that I'd like to announce is that the Department of Public Safety, the DPS, is going to be posting an open position and taking applications for a civilian position within the Department of Public Safety. This civilian position will allow somebody from the general public, without having police experience or any other public safety background, to become employed with our Department of Public Safety in a way where they will gain access to information about what is happening with the investigations that are being brought to us by the people of this state. They will be able to sit in on interviews, and they will be able to even go into the cells in the various police departments and just kind of keep an eye on what is happening on the ground level. They will be, in a way, kind of, a little bit of our eyes and ears throughout the city. The goal is for this person to be somebody who's very much in touch and in tune with the community. So we're looking for people that are business owners or other established citizens that have good relationships with a large number of people here. Obviously, we're going to make sure the person has no criminal background and doesn't pose a security risk or a threat to anyone, and that's going to be part of the hiring process as well. But this is our effort to help build in some transparency to the process and give the people some confidence in what we're doing and how we're monitoring the reports that we receive. And we want to work with you, and we want to have a good, trusting relationship between us. And so this is something that we believe will help us achieve that goal. So with that being said, I will stay around for a little while here to answer any questions that you might have. If you could just come a little bit closer if you want to speak so I can hear you clearly, I would appreciate that. If there are no questions, then we'll wrap this up, and I thank you for your time and for coming down today. So yeah, does anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, our office doors are open. When we're in office, you can always come and talk to us. You can always send us an email to the DPS if you want to sit down and talk to us about any concerns you have, or if you want to report any misconduct that you believe you've witnessed. And if you need to seek legal course, you can always talk to Bullhead and get a court date scheduled and go that route as well. So thank you for coming, and thank you for being peaceful. I appreciate your citizenship, and I appreciate you still having confidence in me doing the right thing as your governor. I appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you. Have a good day.